first, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
And hello, welcome to Fox 12 Now. As always, thanks for joining us. We are streaming live on our social media channels, on our apps, and of course on the website. So whichever place you find us, that's a good place to be. And we talk about a lot of different things during this show. Today we're talking about events that are coming back to Portland. And first off, Rose City Comic-Con is returning this weekend. It's been around since 2011. And honestly, every year it feels like it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. If you're a fan of any kind of comic book or movies or television, you've probably maybe attended it or at least are aware of it, or maybe you have a favorite cosplay costume that you wear for it. All of that can be involved in this and so much more. And we're going to be talking about this week's event and what's coming up for Rose City Comic-Con. Joining us right now, we've got Lauren from Left Field Media. And Lauren, thank you, for joining us here today. And Left Field Media, for those who don't know, puts on Rose City Comic-Con. And I want to talk all about that because I'm curious about the behind the scenes of what it takes to make something like this happen. But for everybody joining in, could you just, tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe about the history of Rose City Comic-Con?
Yeah, sure. So Rose City Comic-Con was actually founded by Ron Brister 11 years ago. So Ron started the show off for the first few years, and then Left Field Media came in and acquired the event. We still talk frequently to Ron, and I'm sure you'll see him around the convention center this weekend. But yeah, Rose City is part of a portfolio of Comic-Con events around the country. And it's like you mentioned, it grows every year. We're excited to be kind of back where we were pre-COVID, and we are excited about the guests we've got coming this year. Probably the most exciting is Zoe Saldana. Super excited to see her. But yeah, we, as much as we're growing though, we still want to have that hometown feel. So, that's our ultimate goal.
And I think, mentioning that, Ron, I feel like every time I go, end up seeing Ron somewhere around there, running around at it. And, with a festival like this, it's obviously grown so much since it started. Now it's huge. There are thousands of people that attend this every year. And I'm kind of curious, just behind the scenes, what does it take to adapt to that and grow to that as you start growing so much?
Yeah. Well, and I think Ron probably felt the most of the brunt because it did, that first year was so crazy for him. And then I think it took, it had some really, really big growth. But in the next couple of years, but yeah, it happens slowly. It doesn't happen overnight. So every year it gets a little bit bigger and bigger, and COVID kind of reset things. So, we went back down to a little bit smaller, and now we're kind of back up there. But yeah, it takes a lot of planning. We have about 20 people on our team that work on it all year round. And then once we get there, that team grows to like hundreds of people with all the staff and crew that show up at the convention center and work. We start setup tomorrow, really. So for 5 days. But yeah, it's really fun. I think the best part of planning an event like this is seeing all that hard work from the last year come together. And our team is super, super excited for what's ahead this weekend. We've got just really, really amazing guests coming, from comic guests to cosplay guests to celebrity guests to authors to voice actors. Like it's going to be such a great weekend. Well,
yeah, you mentioned Zoe Saldana, clearly being definitely one of the big ones who's going to be there. I think some of her Guardians of the Galaxy castmates are also going to be there. Karen Gillan, I think, there's just so many. Like, it's a huge list. And it's one of those things where it feels like whatever you're into, whether it's movies or television or comics or voice acting, animation, there's probably going to be something for somebody. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. And that's the beautiful thing about Rose City Comic-Con is there really is something for everybody. There's even Rose City Junior, which is a whole space for families and kids, and all the way to a beer garden. We've got Voodoo Rangers sponsoring the beer garden this year, so you can go hang out there. We're launching a new stage called Keep Portland Weird, so there's going to be some really cool things on that stage. Tabletop gaming, video gaming. There's really something for everybody. It's pretty amazing.
Now, how do you keep feedback and understand to grow with this? Because obviously, this, like we mentioned, it gets bigger every year, but also genres, things that people are into. that changes constantly as well. So how do you keep tabs on what it is that people are going to want to see?
Yeah, so we try to talk to our fans as much as we possibly can. I visit lots of other shows around the country throughout the year just to kind of keep up on what's happening there, what guests are there, what people are saying there. We do focus groups at across the 3 days with fans just to talk to them individually. We do a survey at the end of the show. We really want to hear from our fans what they want to see. So those are super important. If you go and you get the link, please take it. We really do take that feedback into consideration. But it's just kind of having those conversations on the show floor, keeping track of kind of what's hot. Like I said, taking a look at other shows and what's happening there and what people are really excited about. So it's a mixture of things.
And another big part of it too are some of the different panels that you have when it comes to that.
Yes.
I've gone to several. Weird Al, was one that certainly he's been there before, so that's always a fun one. And but really, it's covering a lot of different things. It's big celebrities, but then also even much more nuanced into really specific genres. Can you tell us what some of the panels will be this year?
Yeah, so like you said, there's a range of panels that you could go and see at Rose City Comic Con. We try to break it up into tracks where we can. So we have a book fair track, so that's obviously for our book lovers. We've got a comic track, so that's where a lot of our comic creators are going to be. We've actually got a creator pro track, so if you're somebody who's looking to break into that artist community and become a creator, that is absolutely the track I would check out. We do have a ton of programming in Rose City Junior that's specifically meant for kids, like slime making with the Portland Ghostbusters and lightsaber training with the Saber Guild. We've got a whole cosplay track if you're interested in cosplay, if you're really seasoned at it. The list goes on and on. There's an anime track, anything that you're interested in. There's take a look at the programming schedule, and there's something there for you.
There's a lot happening in there. Now let me ask you personally, and I don't know how your career started into this, but were you aware of some of all of these genres before you started this job?
No, I have learned so much, and it's really amazing how many genres there are. And I mean, it can go very niche. But yeah, I mean, it covers so much. And then you've got kind of like the subset shows, like anime shows, where they're focused just on anime. And even those we have one that we run in New York City, and it's absolutely huge. And it just kind of has so many more layers that you don't even realize. You kind of, for some of these fandoms, only see the very tip when you go to Comic-Con. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I would imagine it's pretty fascinating, especially if you're going around to some of the other ones and just learning about what it is, that people are into, and then layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. There's so much out there.
Yeah.
Something else, that I wanted to bring up as well, and sometimes this is a criticism of large Comic-Con conventions, is including the local community within them and making sure that that's a part of it. And can you tell me about how Rose City Comic-Con tries to make sure that the local community here in Portland is included?
Absolutely. Yeah. Community is super important to us. I mean, Ron's part of the community, and that was one of his goals when he started this show, was to create this show for the community. And we carry that through. We work with a handful, I think 9 or 10 different comic book shops, or Kinokuniya, Powell's bookshops, to actually do badge pickup. We do promotions with them. Powell's is our book fair supporter this year, which is pretty amazing to have them on board. Wacom, which they're located in Portland, which is really special to us. They come and they do a whole stage for artists all weekend long. It's really cool to see. I mean, anywhere that we can work with the community, we absolutely do. So it's, we definitely want to carry that through, and it's very important to us.
Yeah. And I guess bringing that into, being here in Portland, can you tell everybody, where you're at and why you're choosing the location that you're at to accommodate all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Portland is an amazing city. It's so creative and artistic and unique. And we are just, Portland is amazing in that it has so many comic book publishers local to Portland, and so many comic creators, which is really amazing. So that really supports having the show in Portland as a city. And then the actual event itself is at the Oregon Convention Center, just based on the size of the event, that the convention center gives us the amount of space that we need. It started in a hotel and it obviously has grown since then. And we want to make sure we give everybody enough space and that we have enough rooms to accommodate all these amazing panels. So that's kind of how we ended up in Portland.
You mentioned, COVID, which clearly changed everything. Well, that's, while that was at its height, but even including that, but also aside from that, what are some of the biggest changes you've seen in the convention, I guess, scene over the last few years?
Yeah, that was definitely a big one. No, I think the biggest thing is just, and especially coming out of COVID, how amazing the community is for each other and how supportive everybody is. Like, I think we all realized in COVID how much that personal interaction had an effect on us and how important it was. And so I just think everybody is really supportive and really loves that time and really cherishes that time that we have together, because we know what it feels like when we don't have that time together, like we're used to. I think that we have had the opportunity to have Portland specifically have some really cool guests. I mean, Zoe Saldana is a really cool guest for us to get this year, and somebody we probably never had at Rose City before. So to me, that feels like a really cool, positive change. And then I hope that people feel like things have just gotten a little bit easier. We've gotten a little bit more technologically advanced. We have, faster security. We have a mobile app that is hopefully supposed to make your life a little bit easier and help you prepare a little bit more. So I don't know, there's been quite a few things that I feel like have changed in the last couple of years.
Actually, I'm kind of interested in that. How has the technology changed just running a convention? Like, what are some of the biggest advancements over the last few years that you've seen that help out a lot?
Yeah, just technology, like the fact that we have a mobile app that, so when you download our mobile app, you register and you can actually select your interests. So like if you're a big anime person, you could select, I like anime and comics, and the app will actually serve you recommendations for guests or programming based on your interests. Like, that is pretty amazing. It can give you a pretty customized experience. So that's a really great example. A lot of stuff now has moved online too. We have Critical Role coming, which is a huge deal. Our fans are so excited to meet them. And we've been able to do all of our reservations for the main stage online, which is great because it allows us to be safe and it allows us to set expectations for our fans. We don't want people waiting in line for hours wondering if they're going to get into a panel. And, unfortunately not everybody made it, but at least you know that and you can plan for that. And I think those are two great examples of how the technology has changed for the event.
A lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
To at least know one way or another. So it's not waiting till the last minute and then you see 10 people ahead get in. You're like, oh, didn't make it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Also, speaking of Critical Role, I had no idea how huge they were. I will admit, for everybody watching, send me the emails. But yes, I did not know, and I get it now. I have seen all the press for that.
It is absolutely amazing. And, I don't want to talk about it too much because their photo ops and autographs are sold out and their main stage panel is all full. But we are so excited to have them at Rose City Comic Con. And our fans are just, it's amazing what kind of community that group has created. Like, their fans are just so excited to see them. So we're really grateful to have them at Rose City this year.
It is wild. And again, going back to that, there's layers upon layers of every single fandom. And every time I go there, I see 300 people lined up for an autograph. And I'm like, I don't even know who that is. But obviously now I need to figure that out. So
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. One other thing I wanted to bring up too is just, covering all our bases here for everything to expect. And especially for people who maybe are going for their first time. Is the vendors. The vendor side of thing is always a lot of fun. Can you tell us what kind of vendors we should expect at Rose City Comic Con this year?
Oh my goodness, yes, so many different vendors. I mean, we've got anything from like comic book stores and comic book shops, or just comic book dealers in general. So if you're looking for something unique or special, or you just want to buy your first comic and try it out, there are so many choices for you. We've got some vendors that support cosplay. So, if you're looking for makeup or accessories for your cosplay, or, anything that you'd be looking for your cosplay, Misty Mountain Gaming is going to be there, and they have tons and tons of dice that you could take a look at, especially if you're somebody who's into tabletop gaming. We've got Powell's bookstore is going to be there. Kinokuniya is going to be there. Tons and tons of toys. Lots of collectibles, Pokemon collectibles, stuffies. I'm trying to think, but it's amazing. There's Wild Bill's on the show floor, which is always a fan favorite. They have the old fashioned soda, so you buy a mug and then you get unlimited soda all weekend long. And that's like this cool con thing that that con goers like to visit every time they go to a show. So they're always there too.
Nice. Well, you mentioned you're setting up now, but when does the event start?
Okay, so the event starts on Friday. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Tickets are available online at rosecitycomiccon.com. We're getting kind of close to selling out of Saturdays and 3 days, so I definitely recommend, if you're looking to come on those days, to purchase your badges now. You can buy badges at the door. They're just a little bit more expensive when you get there, but you can if you want to. But yeah. Friday at 1 o'clock, the doors open, and then Saturday and Sunday, they open at 10.
Nice. So. Well, and just to reiterate the cosplay part, that is also one of my favorite parts of the convention.
Yeah.
How much work people put into them. I mean, it's incredible. Some of those are like movie level costumes.
Absolutely. And I will say, I mean, I've gone to so many cons, like I mentioned, I go to them all year, and Portland, I think, has the best cosplay. I mean, there's just so much creativity and artistic skill there. And so it's always my favorite to see what people come up with in Portland.
Nice. And I want to remind people, too, that Joe V, our own Joe V here from Fox 12 Oregon, is going to be out there on location on Friday for part of Good Day Oregon. So doing some coverage out there. So you may see him running around, too. So definitely want to check out whatever Joe's going to be talking to, he's going to be talking to, whatever he's talking about, it's going to be good. So make sure that you tune in for that as well. And check out him. Well, Lauren, thank you very much for joining us here to talk about this, get a preview of it. Really appreciate it. And best of luck. I know this is probably going to be a crazy week where you probably don't sleep much, I would imagine, for these conventions, but it'll be worthwhile.
Yeah, it's totally worth it. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And for everybody joining us here on Fox 12 Now, so coming up here in just a little bit, we're live right now, depending on when you're watching this. You may be watching it afterward, but that's cool. We're also live, and coming up at 1:30 p.m. Pacific today, I'm going to be talking to the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Not the entire orchestra, but I do have the director and one of the lead singers who's going to be joining me to discuss what's coming up with that. So later on in winter, I think it's November 26th is when they're coming to town, but we're going to get a preview of their event as well. So it's all things events here on Fox 12 Now. As always, if there's breaking news, though, you can come right back here, and I'll be here letting you know what's going on. But otherwise, I will talk to you in a few minutes with more. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.